Now, this is an interesting question when it comes to Lyft and Uber. With all the crazy price increases that happened because of the pandemic, the question comes up. Now that things are slowly returning back to normal, in 2022, will there be an Uber price increase or a Lyft price increase? Overall, I don't think so, but this does bring up a very unique perspective. And let me know what you think in the comments, right? This is just my own opinion. I remember going years back now, and this is all relevant to the video. I remember when I first moved to LA, I could go from Reseda to, let's say, a nightclub in West Hollywood for only about like $10. This is back in 2016/17. And in case you don't know, that's like 17 miles. I actually Google mapped it to check before I filmed this video. 17 miles, especially with traffic, it would take you about 45 minutes. So you're talking about a 17-mile ride, about 45 minutes in time, for only about $10. That is crazy. Now, that same exact ride, probably, depending on the surges and everything, would be between, at the cheapest, if you got lucky, maybe $25. Most likely anywhere between $35, roughly, right? So the price of that same exact ride has gone up. Has all other Uber and Lyft rides have gone up significantly as well. Now, of course, the pandemic was a horrible, horrible thing that happened. Kind of goes without saying. But there were some, I think, optimistic and at least good things that did come out of it, right? Remote work is now way more popular. There are a lot of things, at least trying to look at it in an optimistic way, were a good thing that happened as a result of the pandemic. And I think one of them, relating this now back to Lyft and Uber, is more expensive Lyft and Uber rides. I know for me now, my perspective on how much money I'd spend on a Lyft and Uber is vastly different than it was pre-pandemic. And I know that's true for a lot of other people. And I read a few articles before making this video of how they were saying, that a lot of people now are used to that as well. People are like, oh yeah, if you can take a Lyft and Uber, it's not gonna be a few bucks. I mean, there's some times I remember taking rides that were like literally $6 or $7 to go wherever. And I'm like, this is crazy. Like $7 to go wherever it's going. Or like I said earlier, $10 to go from Reseda to West Hollywood. That is insane. Now, though, people are used to spending a lot of money. So I think what's kind of interesting is not that Uber and Lyft will increase their prices in 2022. I don't think that's going to happen, right? But I think one cool thing about the pandemic, looking at it again in an optimistic way, is I don't think we're going to ever revert back. I don't think Uber and Lyft will ever get cheaper ever again. So I guess in a good way, at least I think people are so used to spending that amount of money on a Lyft and Uber. And like I said before too, that's why a lot of people are now like, well, maybe I should take a taxi. And then sometimes, in some cases, taxis are cheaper. I mentioned this when I was going out to Hermosa Beach Pier, that the taxi was cheaper than getting Lyft and Uber. But I think in a good way still, that people are now used to spending a lot of money. And that's a big thing, because I remember back in the day, like it was crazy that drivers would be like, oh my God, I just did a ride, like the one I just talked about, and the fee is $10, not to mind Uber and Lyft's cut, but the fee of that ride is $10 for all these miles I drove and all this time. The one unique thing, though, I am going to say about the Uber and Lyft price increase, which, again, I don't think will happen, is Uber Pool and Lyft Line. I already did a video that Uber Pool at some point is going to be coming back. I guarantee Lyft will follow suit and do Lyft Line as well. I don't know when they're going to release it. I feel like we're still a few months away, at least. I could be wrong, though. It could be released tomorrow. Who knows? That is one thing I will say, that although I think the price of Lyft and Ubers is not going to get any cheaper at all, because I think people are just used to spending that money. Like I said, I do think that they're gonna, and I remember reading about this, Uber really wants to bring it back. Lyft probably does as well, because for a lot of people, let's say, who are still not happy with spending this amount of money through Lyft and Uber, they'll choose Uber Pool, Lyft Line, because, of course, it's the cheaper option. But as we all know, when it comes to driving as the driver for Uber Pool and Lyft Line, it is the worst thing ever. But we'll have to see what happens. I think that overall, I don't think there'll be any price increase, but I do want to say that I think the prices that significantly increased as a result of the pandemic are not going away. I don't think they're ever going to decrease. The only thing that will decrease will be Uber Pool and Lyft Line, because, of course, those are cheaper.